Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In today's tutorial, we are going to dive deep into HTML styles and CSS. Okay, and CSS. So by the end of this video, you will have a complete understanding of what CSS is, why it's important, and we will create beautiful style and styled web pages with CSS in the upcoming video. So first things first, I'll eat your brain, but not this time. So let's learn what exactly a CSS is. So CSS stands for, let me write here. CSS actually stands for Cascading Style Sheet. Okay, so Cascading Style Sheets. This is the abbreviation of CSS. Now you might be wondering, what does cascading mean? So don't worry, we will cover that in detail later. For now, just remember that CSS is a language, okay? So that is used to describe the presentation of web pages. So as you know that while HTML provides the structure and content of your web page, things like headings, paragraphs, images and links. So CSS is responsible for making everything look good. So CSS controls the visual presentation, the layout, the colors, the fonts, the spacing, and essentially everything related to how your web page appears to users. Okay, so I think it's making sense. Now let's talk about why CSS is so powerful and why every web developer needs to master it. As you can see on the screen, it says CSS saves a lot of work. So if I write here, CSS saves a lot of work. Okay, so this is absolutely true. And do you know why? CSS can control the layout of multiple web pages all at once. Okay, controls the layout of multiple web pages all at once. Okay. For example, imagine you have a website with 50 pages and you want all your headings to be blue and use a specific font. Without CSS, you would have to go into each individual HTML file and add styling code to every single heading on every single page. So that's 50 pages of repetitive work. I think it's boring. But with CSS, you can write your styling rules once in a single CSS file and then link that file to all the 50 pages. Now, if you want to change the color of your headings from blue to red, you only need to change it in one place, and that is your CSS file. And it automatically updates across all the 50 pages. This is the power of CSS. It saves time, reduces repetition, and makes maintaining your website much easier. Understand? So let's look at the visual representation on the screen. For example, it shows CSS equals styles and colors. This is simplified way of understanding what CSS does. Let me write here, CSS equals styles and colors. Okay, so CSS equals styles and colors. So this is the simplified way of understanding what CSS does. So HTML and CSS work together as a team. Think of it this way, like HTML is like the skeleton and organs of a body. It provides structure and the essential parts. So CSS like the skin, clothing and makeup. Okay, it makes everything look presentable and attractive. When you write HTML, you are creating elements like headings, paragraphs, divs, images, and buttons. These elements exist, okay, and have meaning, but without CSS, they appear very plain, just like black text on a white background with default fonts. For example, you create buttons, divs, but with Without CSS, they are all meaningless. Okay, so now I think it is making sense now. Okay, so when you add CSS, you are telling the browser, take this heading and make it red, take this paragraph and center it, take this dive and give it a blue background with rounded corners and a shadow. So CSS transforms plain HTML into visually appealing, professional looking web pages. Okay, so let's break down what styles and colors actually mean in practical. Colors CSS allows you to control colors for text, backgrounds, borders, shadows, and more. So you can use color names like red or blue as we used in the previous videos, the style attribute. Let me write here. We use the style attribute, and then what we did, we use the background color, for example, and then we write red, and we close the tag. So in this way, you can use color names like red or blue, red, or you can use the blue. So you can also use RGB values, RGBA values that include transparency as we did in the previous videos. So this is a broad category. Okay, in CSS, it includes the typography, and when you talk about typography, let me write here in CSS, when you talk about typography, there is a font family. Let me write here typography, and there is a font family. First of all, also there is a font size, there is a font weight, okay, there is also a font style, and there is a text decoration you can add through CSS, and there is also as you can see there is a lot, okay, text alignment and much more. So when you talk about spacing in CSS, in spacing there is a margins and padding, and there is a space between elements, okay, between elements. So when you talk about borders in CSS, okay, there is a border. You can add borders around elements, control their width, style, color, and even create rounded corners. Okay, so you can add uh, a border around by using CSS. There are also backgrounds in CSS when you talk about backgrounds in CSS. So beside colors, you can add background images. Okay, background images it include, and control their size, position, and whether they repeat or not. So there is also layout in CSS. Okay, in CSS layout, CSS controls how elements are positioned on the page. Elements are positioned on the page. So whether they stack vertically, sit side by side, are fixed in the place when you scroll, are centered on the screen. Okay, so there are also dimensions in CSS. So you can control the width and height of elements. Let me write here width and height. Uh, Let me write here HEI. Okay, height of elements. Sorry. So you can control the width and height of elements, set minimum and maximum sizes, and make elements responsive so they adapt to different screen sizes. And there are also visual effects in CSS when you use CSS. So in this, there are shadows, transparency, and in transparency, like rotation or scaling, and there are transitions that animate changes, and much more. So in this video, we learned about what CSS can do. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Happy coding.